Have you ever pondered about the mysteries of the Norse people and their intriguing history? A question that may stir curiosity in many. The Norse people, a civilization that once thrived in the northern parts of Europe, are shrouded in mystery and enigma, their history a captivating tapestry of battles, explorations, and beliefs. Each thread of this tapestry is woven with tales of their resilience, their courage, and their indomitable spirit. Understanding the Norse people and their history is not merely an exercise in historical exploration. It is a journey that takes us back to a time when the world was a vast, uncharted wilderness waiting to be discovered. The Norse people were not just explorers or warriors. They were poets, lawmakers, traders, and craftsmen. Their legacy is etched in the annals of history, influencing the world in ways we may not even realize. So are you ready to venture into the unknown? Dive with us into the riveting world of the Norse people. The Norse people, often referred to as the Vikings, hail from the Scandinavian region. The lands of present-day Denmark, Norway, and Sweden were the cradle of this fascinating culture, a culture that would go on to shape much of the Northern Hemisphere's history. But who exactly were these Norse people? Contrary to popular belief, the term Viking is not synonymous with Norse. Viking actually refers to the act of going on an expedition or adventure, a common practice amongst the Norse. So when we say Viking, we're talking about a Norse person on a voyage or raid. The origins of the Norse people can be traced back to the Iron Age, with the Nordic Bronze Age marking a significant cultural shift. The Norse society was complex and structured, a far cry from the chaotic and ruthless image often portrayed in popular culture. The Norse society was divided into three main classes. The Jarls or nobles were at the top, followed by the Carls or freemen, and the thralls, or slaves at the bottom. This hierarchical structure was crucial for maintaining order and stability in the Norse communities. But the Norse were not just warriors. They were skilled craftsmen, farmers, and traders. They built longships that could navigate both oceans and rivers, allowing them to explore and trade with distant lands. Their farming skills helped them to survive in the harsh Scandinavian climate, while their craftsmanship is still admired today. The Norse had a profound respect for nature and its forces, and this was reflected in their religious beliefs. They worshipped a pantheon of gods and goddesses, each representing different aspects of life and the universe. These beliefs played a significant role in their daily lives and influenced their decisions and actions. In essence, the Norse people were much more than just raiders and warriors. They were explorers, traders, and farmers who built a complex society and culture that continues to fascinate us today. Their legacy is still evident in numerous aspects of modern life, from language and literature to art and architecture. The Norse people were not just warriors, but also skilled traders, explorers, and farmers. Their dawn was much more than the birth of a warrior race. It was the rise of a rich, complex, and enduring civilization. From the 8th to the early 11th century, the Norse people embarked on a journey that would change the course of history. During this period, known as the Viking Age, the Norse navigated vast oceans, braved uncharted territories, and forged a path across Europe, the North Atlantic, and beyond. Their longships, a marvel of engineering, allowed them to venture far and wide. They sailed west to the British Isles, and east to the lands we now know as Russia and Ukraine. They ventured north to the icy realms of Iceland and Greenland, and even reached the shores of North America, centuries before Columbus. But the Norse were not just raiders and explorers, they were settlers too. They established communities and trading posts, blending their culture with those they encountered. In England, they founded the Danelaw, a region governed by Danish law. In France, they carved out a territory known as Normandy, the land of the Northmen. And in the icy wilderness of Greenland, they built settlements that stood for centuries. The Norse also left a profound impact on the cultures they touched. They shaped the political landscape of Britain and Ireland, influenced the development of Russia, and left their mark on the language and place names of many regions. Their innovative shipbuilding techniques were adopted far and wide. Their influence extended to the world of commerce too. The Norse established trade routes that stretched from the Arctic to the Mediterranean, dealing in goods like furs, tusks, seal fat, and slaves. They introduced the concept of a standardized silver currency, which played a vital role in the development of European economies. But the Norse were not just about conquest and commerce. They brought with them their rich culture, their art, their beliefs, and their laws. They were skilled craftsmen and poets. Their sagas and runes are testament to their vibrant cultural life. The Norse people left an indelible mark wherever they set foot. Their journey was one of exploration, expansion, and cultural exchange. They shaped our world in ways that still echo down the centuries. The Norse people had a rich and complex belief system filled with gods, goddesses, and mythical creatures. At the heart of this belief system was a pantheon of deities, each with their own distinct personalities and domains. Odin, the All-Father, was the chief god, revered for his wisdom, knowledge, and sacrifice. His son Thor wielded Mjolnir, a mighty hammer, and was the protector of both gods and humans against forces of chaos. Freya, the goddess of love, beauty, and fertility, was also a fierce warrior, leading the Valkyries to choose the bravest of fallen warriors to join her in the afterlife. The Norse cosmos was an intricate tapestry of 9 realms, interconnected by Yggdrasil, the world tree. Asgard, home to the gods, and Midgard, home to humans, were just 2 of these realms. The rest were the abodes of different creatures like elves, dwarves, and giants. And speaking of the afterlife, the Norse had a unique perspective on what happens after death. The bravest warriors were chosen by the Valkyries to join Odin in Valhalla, an eternal feast and battlefield, preparing for Ragnarok, the end of the world. Others might find themselves in Helheim, ruled by the goddess Hel, or in Folkvanga, Freya's field of the chosen ones. These beliefs were not just stories for the Norse, they were integral to their everyday lives. They sought the gods' guidance through rituals and sacrifices. The gods were seen as role models, their stories offering moral guidance. The mythical creatures and the magical items they possessed inspired art and literature. Norse mythology is filled with tales of heroism, trickery, love, and betrayal. It's a world where the gods are not all-knowing or all-powerful, but flawed beings much like humans. It's a world where even the gods face their destiny, and every action has its consequence. A world without Norse mythology would be a less colorful and fascinating place. The Norse era didn't last forever, but it did leave a lasting legacy. As with all great civilizations, the Norse era too had its sunset. The decline was gradual, spanning over several centuries, and was a result of various factors. The Norse were seafaring traders, explorers, and warriors. Their prowess on the sea was unmatched, but this reliance on seafaring also led to their decline. As the climate changed around the 11th century, sea routes became more treacherous, impacting their trade and exploration. Internal conflicts were also a significant contributor. The Norse society was divided into several small independent kingdoms. Disputes over land and power often resulted in violent clashes, leading to instability and weakening their society from within. External pressure from other growing powers, particularly the Christian kingdoms of Europe, also played a significant role. The Norse were pagans, and their belief system was in stark contrast with the Christian faith. This difference led to religious conflicts, further destabilizing the Norse society. Then there was the transition to Christianity. This was not an overnight change, but a gradual process that started around the turn of the first millennium. The conversion was primarily driven by political and economic reasons. As the Christian kingdoms grew in power, they exerted influence over the Norse, leading many to adopt Christianity over time. This transition marked the end of the Norse era, but it didn't mean the end of the Norse people or their culture. They continued to live, their culture evolving over time, assimilating elements from Christianity and other influences. The Norse era might have ended, but its influence is still palpable today. The Norse mythology continues to fascinate us. Their sagas and runes provide a glimpse into a vibrant and complex society, and their technological innovations, particularly in shipbuilding, had a profound impact on maritime history. So, while the era has ended, the Norse legacy lives on, echoing through the centuries. The impact of the Norse people extends far beyond their time. From the edge of the Arctic Circle, they ventured out, shaping a legacy that ripples through the centuries. Their influence is unmistakable, imprinted on the modern world in ways we often overlook. We see their mark in English language, where words like Thursday, named after the Norse god Thor, and ransack, derived from Old Norse, are used every day. Their narratives, filled with gods, giants, and mythical creatures, inspire countless contemporary works of fantasy. Their exploration and expansion set the stage for global connectivity, while their democratic assembly, the Thing, hints at the origins of modern democracy. The Norse were more than just fierce warriors. They were explorers, lawmakers, and storytellers. Even in the face of their era's end, the Norse spirit persists, embodied in their enduring tales and our continued fascination with their culture. The Norse people, a fascinating chapter in human history, continue to captivate us with their rich heritage and intriguing mythology.